Okay, today we're looking at getting ready for our 6th grade lesson 19, histograms. The essential question is, how can you use a histogram to organize data? The table below shows the age of members of a bicycle club. Make a histogram of the data. A histogram is a bar graph that shows how often data occurs in intervals. Okay? So over in the math idea, it says, in a histogram, the bars touch because they represent continuous intervals. Remember, in a bar graph, they stand alone. They don't touch each other, the bars. In this one, they will. Make a frequency table with intervals of 10. Fill in the frequency route. Remember, the intervals are these things over here. And intervals of 10, so 10 to 19, 20 to 29, 30 to 39, 40 to 49, 50 to 59. Then if you'll notice over here on the, where we're going to build our bars, it has those same intervals at the bottom. And then you're supposed to come up here to this table and you record tally marks for each of these numbers. So they've already done that for you. So between 10 and 19, there are 3 people in the bicycle club that are between the age of 10 and 19. Between the age of 20 and 29, there are 10. Between the age of 30 and 39, how many are there? 5. 40 and 49? And 50 and 59? 4. Okay, so we're going to go ahead . And step 2 says choose an appropriate scale and interval, which they told us to use 10 and in our intervals. And we started at age 10. So why would we start at age 10? Why didn't we start at age 0?
Because there's no 0 to 10.
Now there's no 0 to 10 in there. So 3 says draw a bar for each interval. Give the histogram a title. Okay? What would our title be? So you might want 2 different colored pens or pencils with this, or you might want to, when we shade in our bars, you might want to shade one a little more lightly than the other. If you'll notice, what were we going to say the title is? The same thing as in this chart up here. Ages of members in a bicycle club. So go ahead and write that in the title right here. Now you're not going to be able to write huge or it won't fit. Hopefully your title fit in that box a little better than mine did. Now if you'll notice, the number of members goes up the side of the graph. And they did 0, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. So they chose intervals of 2. And they started at 0, and the first line is 2. So let's look at our 10 to 19. How many people are there in the 10 to 19? 3. Now there's no 3, so we're going to have to go between the 4 and the 2. Okay, so when you draw this bar, you should be able to remember they have to meet. So you're going to go, that's a little high on the 3, but you're going to go about halfway between your 19 and your 20. And you're going to go up to 3 and over. And then you can shade that in. And then how many are we going to do on 20 to 29? 10. So our bar is going to be a lot longer. So go over between 29 and 30. About halfway. I'll do this in a different color, so hopefully you'll be able to see it. And you're going to go clear up to 10, over, and remember, you're going to meet your other bar. You're going to touch down here. And then you can shade that in. If you're just using your pencil, you could shade it in a different manner than you did your other one, maybe lighter. Okay, so all your bars, if you follow that little thing to go about halfway between. And then 30 to 39 is 5. And again, go between 39 and 40, and you're going to have to guess where 5 is, halfway between 4 and 6. Shade that in. And then 40 to 49 is 6. You can go up to that bar, make sure they're touching. And then 50 to 59 is 4. And you can just make that be at the edge of the histogram. So how is this different than a bar graph?
Because you don't, instead of like the bars, you draw like the, I want to say they're like the,
You still draw the bars, they just touch each other. Okay? And I guess we should have filled in our frequencies here. This should say 3, 10, 5, 6, and 4. At the bottom it says, what if you change the histogram to show 4 age groups with 12-year intervals? How would that change things? How many bars would we have? 4 age groups. So how many bars?
4.
But the frequencies would still add up to the same number. Each interval would include more ages. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and type that in. There would only be 4 bars, but the frequencies would still add up to the same number. In other words, you're still going to have to get all these ages on there. These would just look a little bit different. Right now, it adds up to 28, and it would still add up to 28. You just might have, in 10 to 21, you might have 5 instead of the 3. And then each interval would include more ages. Okay? Okay, we're going to go on to the next page, P288. For 1 through 3, use the data below. The number of vacation days that each employee of the company took last summer is given below. So it says start at day 1 and use 4 days for each interval. So what's our first interval going to be if we start at day 1? 1 to what? 4. Okay? So we would go 1, 2, 4. And we're going to put a comma. Then what? 5 to 8. Comma. 9 to 12. Comma. And 13 to 16. How do we know when we can stop?
Whenever your last number is greater than all the others.
Yeah, whenever your last number is greater than all the others. We wouldn't want to stop before that. And we wouldn't want to start at 3 either, because there's a 2. Okay? So then they tallied them for us. They came down and tallied all those numbers. So how many days are in the 1 to 4? What frequency is that in our data? 4. How about the 5 to 8? 9 to 12?
4.
And 13 to 16.
2.
Then you can go over there and make your bar graph. Go ahead and stop the recording and work on that. And I'll work on it on the recording. Again, remember to go halfway between your numbers. If you're in my room, you should be able to do this on your own. You shouldn't be relying on me doing it. Now you're going to go ahead and do on your own. For 4 through 6, use this data. So you're going to have to, and it says start at 30 and use 10-minute intervals. So you're going to go from 30 to
40.
That's 11 minutes.
30 to 40. 30 to 50.
10 minutes.
30 to 39.
30 to 39. Okay, so that's going to be your first one. Then you're gonna go on out to however far you need to go like that. Then you're gonna make a frequency table. So I want you to get a piece of paper, make a frequency table, and then you're going to make your own histogram. So get a piece of paper and do those two things.